Hello everybody, it's your favorite West Virginia Space here, and in case you haven't noticed, there's been a rising amount of articles and memes based around the whole thing of how often do men think of the Roman Empire, which is kind of a weird thing on the surface. I mean, I don't quite get it, to be perfectly frank. I mean, dude, I like history a lot. I mean, a fair bit, but I mean, like, I don't think about the Roman Empire as much as some people say they do. Now, undoubtedly, some of these are just troll/meme accounts, but I have noticed an actual rise in these kind of things. So the real question is, why is this such on people's minds lately? Well, I think I might have an idea, so let's dive in. I think one thing people just need to accept is that Rome has always been a big talking point. This isn't like the first time people on the internet started talking about Rome. Rome is a big deal, always has been, because due to just how much effect it's had on history. If you removed Rome from the world, history does not look the same. It just doesn't. It's a completely different world and ballpark if that happened. Heck, if Rome made even just different decisions during its existence, over 1,000 years, mind you, we would have gotten a very different world. So, of course, it's been a big deal to people. And so much of the Western world owes its cultural heritage, at least in part, to Rome. So many cultures, traditions, and ideas come from the Romans, and their effect cannot be understated. In case you need an example, you know, like those ancient sci-fi empires and sci-fi that's like, oh yeah, then all the races were like, all the different species and humans or whatever fell from this great galactic empire. Yeah, that's Rome. Like, people understand that the Dark Age was quite a bit of a fall in some places. Like, all those ancient tropes of the ancient civilization that no one remembers the exact nature of, but it was like a big deal that all the ones try to claim the glory of, that's Rome's gimmick. That is literally Rome, point blank simple. Rome's effect is undenounceable. Just as a perfect example here, they literally made a statue and a painting of George Washington, painted among the Greco-Roman gods. There was literally a British admiral, whose name I sadly forgotten, who was also given art of him ascending to join the gods at Olympus. Literally, so many modern architecture in the USA, a nation that should be very disconnected from Rome, has Roman influences. This is not a coincidence, because Rome has had massive influence on the world, and its legacy has stretched far beyond the Western Hemisphere. They made contact and did trade deals with China, ancient China. They were big. They controlled a good chunk of Europe, all the Mediterranean, more or less, and it cannot be understated. It's incredibly important, and knowing Roman history is very interesting. However, that doesn't explain why it's been on the talk recently, and that's, I think, is slightly different. So, yeah. I think it stems with some of the depression in modern society. Now, okay, hear me out here. I'm not going completely crazy pants, but I think it does stem from that to a degree. People are very depressed lately due to multiple factors with society, and then it was 2020, and then, we all know, we've all been here. But the point is, all this has made a lot of the modern man depressed. You add on stuff like that, the difficulties of modern dating, the economy, and just all kinds of stuff like that is going to make people, and in some cases, especially men, kind of depressed. And it's not an easy depression for some to get out of. It's not something that can just be wished away. So people will try to, at least on some level, escape to what they believe to be a better time. And people have been very, very good across history at idealizing the Roman Empire. Not the Roman Republic or whatever. Now, there was, like I said, a lot to idolize about Rome. It's truly it was a wonder in many ways. But it was far from perfect. And trust me, you don't want to go back to live in Rome. You just don't want to do that. Pro tip, anyone who tells you that, oh, the past, like a few hundred years ago or beyond, was so much better than today, is either trying to sell you something or does not know what that time period was like. Even with our current situation, we still live in one of the best situations in human history. Literally, kings would give up the throne to live up in our apartments today. Think about that. But that's not the point here. The point is people do, in many cases, feel depressed. So some want to go back or imagine a time where things they value or things they believe in were more prompt. People want to think of, they point at values at things inside that we don't like or they don't like more accurately. And then they think, the Roman Empire did it better. They were strong, they were masculine, they were this or that. They weren't atheists or worship this or whatever. They worshiped the Greek gods, which were the Roman gods, but different matter. The point is that, and this and that, and they point out this or the incredible army or whatever. The point is, they're just idealizing it. It's kind of just a fantasy for some people. And you know what? That's kind of fine if you understand what you're talking about in the sense of it being a fantasy. Because it's just what people think, I think. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. And I don't personally think this myself, if for no other reason I have a far too good understanding of the Roman Empire to know not to idealize it to that degree. But the point is, I think that could be stemming from it. Some kind of depression within modern man. But ultimately, I could be wrong. I'm no expert on psychology. I never went to school for this. But ultimately, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Maybe I'm missing the mark. Maybe I'm dead on. I don't know. But I want to hear your comments down below, and I'll see you all next time. Yeah. Hey, why don't you hit that sub button? You're gonna become a subscriber. Get to see my content quicker. Wouldn't that be nice? I bet so.